thank you everyone for coming back from the afternoon tea. We've got a really good big treat for you guys right now, and it's a virtual tour of the Reporoa facility. It's a bit of a baby of mine. Sorry, Andy. and yeah, really excited to bring this to you. I think about half of the room has already been through the facility, and a little bit like the Gemini project, you don't really appreciate the scale of it until you stand there in front of those digesters and touch the pasteurizer, whatever you want to touch. But yeah, it's a real treat to be able to be there, and I'm incredibly fortunate to be part of it. So we'll run through the video, and then Andy is here to field the questions. and Andy is the North Island manager of Ecogas, and he's literally looking after the facility and is doing an amazing job. So if we can please have the video, thank you.
Welcome to Ecogas. Let's take a journey through how we process organic waste through anaerobic digestion into some amazing byproducts, really showcasing circular economy at its finest here in New Zealand. Organic waste, or feedstock, arrives in both liquid and solid loads. All trucks are weighed across our weighbridge, and the weights are automatically uploaded into our system. Solid feedstock is tipped off in our internal feedstock bunkers. Trucks are washed down, and then those trucks head to Taupo to pick up a load of aggregate to take back to Auckland. Liquid trucks connect to an electric pump inside our reception hall and load their waste directly into our anaerobic digestion tanks. The anaerobic digestion process. The solid feedstock slurry and our liquid feedstock is pumped directly into our inlet tank. It is then mixed and fed through all three of our large digesters. Throughout this process, biogas is captured. Gas conditioning. The next step in our process is to condition our biogas. The first thing we do is we chill that gas so that we can take away all of the moisture. We then send the gas through either to our CHP, which produces electricity for our site. We also export electricity to the grid. The remaining gas is sent across to the upgrader. In partnership with First Renewables, we strip away the CO2, we bring that up to pressure, and we inject the renewable natural gas into the New Zealand natural gas transmission network. That CO2 that we take off the biogas is then shared with turners and growers to help grow tomatoes here in Reporoa. Digestate. After 70 days, our digestate is ready to be spread on local farmland. Our digestate is called Fertify, and after going through a separating screen, which pulls out large fibres and any remaining packaging, our digestate is then pasteurised at 72 degrees, which removes any remaining organisms before this is available to be spread to land. We spread our product to land through local contractors. This is a great step forward as it's removing the reliance on synthetic fertilisers. So what you've learnt today is that organics don't need to be sent to landfill. They are a resource that we can use to create some amazing byproducts that can help the circular economy from food manufacturing to the dairy industry here in New Zealand.
So I think we've got some time for questions about Reporoa, if anyone has any. One thing that the video kind of skipped through was the pre-processing of the feedstock, and you saw the loader putting the feedstock through big machines, and they essentially what we call a depack it. So they separate the plastics and the contamination from the organics. The organics go into the digester process, and you could see the plastics kind of scrunched up at one of the last moments of the video. That was the organics being separated, and so that perhaps didn't come through all that well. But otherwise, happy for any questions. I haven't got the Slido app, unfortunately, with me at the moment. If there are any. Otherwise, we'll move to our next exciting. Is there one? Oh, There you go. Bob.
Curious as to where all the feedstock comes from. I live in Auckland, I have my little bin under the sink. How many people are using their little bin? How many people are using the little bin under the sink? I'm presuming you've got commercial food producers sending waste as well. Just, yeah, where's all the feedstock coming from? And, sorry, second question, what's the potential for growth?
Cool. So our feedstock from Auckland Council makes up about 30 to 35% of our total capacity. So our Reporoa plant has a current capacity of 75,000 tonne. Where does our feedstock come from? A number of different sources. So we've got industrial clients, mainly in the dairy processing industry. And so we get a lot of different sort of, whether it be waste activated sludges, DAF sludges, things like that. They're really high fat products. So when Elsbeta was doing her 101 earlier, and we looked at like what the biogas production is, they're really good products for our gas conditioning. And then we take a lot of commercial products as well. And so that could be anything from chicken meat to fish meat to packaged products. And I think one of the really great things about our operation is that we have the ability to separate organics from packaging. No one else can do that, right? So previously that's gone to landfill. And regardless of certain opinions earlier around, you know, we should be better at separating organics from landfill, we shouldn't be sending organics there in the first place. So it's around broadening that awareness, which is one of the messages that has come through. And technology like ours allows us to separate that so that we can take the organic resource away from the packaging. Where to next? So we are just about to look at starting to expand our current facility, so to go from 75,000 tonnes up to 100,000 tonnes. So we're teetering around capacity at the moment. And so, yeah, looking to take that next step. And we're at the final stages of resource consenting for our Christchurch operation. And so that's a 100,000 tonne per annum plant. And there's a number of different opportunities that we're just currently doing feasibility studies on at the moment, whether that be sort of Lower North Island, closer to Auckland. We'll sort of look at that over the coming months and years. Is there any other questions?
There was one question from through the Slido, whether AD completely denatures the animal protein. It is about 90% efficient in breaking down all organics. We can't tell whether it's all protein gets broken down or not, but as a fertilizer producer, we comply with the ACVM Act, and there's a statement on the dispatch notice of our fertilizer that the product has been produced from animal protein or from feedstocks containing animal protein, and therefore it cannot be fed to animals directly and all that sort of stuff. So it removes majority of the animal protein, but not can't say with 100% certainty that all the animal protein has been broken down. Okay, I think we can. One.
I'll take this one. Are we considering biocrops or energy crops? There's been a lot of talk about energy crops this morning, and in my opinion, I have a massive operational lens, not a theoretical lens. Theoretically, yes, that's a feedstock that's available. Operationally, I'd say no, it's not. And the reason for that is we don't have the subsidies here in New Zealand to push the offtake price up or the biogas price up to make that worthwhile. Just as a broad overview of the business, our revenue model is 80% lent towards gate fee, 20% towards byproduct. Right, so those bio crops, is someone going to pay me a gate fee to send them to me for me to then sell the renewable natural gas? No, they're not. What was the terminology used? Like, if you're talking maize stubs and some of those things that are left over from harvest, that's currently ploughed back into the ground. No farmer in their right mind would ever put that on a truck, send it to me to process through anaerobic digestion. So energy crops is not something that's open to us here in New Zealand unless there's going to be a change to subsidy. David, do you want to tell us your password if your phone's locked?
It's my birthday.
I don't think we have enough time to answer that question today, Jeffrey. So the question was, any learnings on gas upgrading? And I think, the First Renewables and Claris team are here. It's been a journey, but it's, when Michael was speaking earlier about everything that's happened to them, I was like, yep, tick, got that. Yep, tick, we've done that. Yep, we did that too. So, look, I think anyone that is getting into considering gas upgrading needs to make sure they've got a really good handle on moisture. Biogas is a very wet gas, way more so than probably what it will say by design. And so you need to overspec your moisture controls in your gas trains on your AD plant. So that's your chilling, your moisture removal, and make sure you've got a really good sensitivity analysis around the type of feedstock you'll take in. We were expecting to be much more lent towards food scraps than we've ended up. And so we've ended up with high fat products producing way more biogas for gas trains to not handle. So we've had to go and put in another gas train. All of this costs a lot of money. H2S controls are really important with biogas. So making sure that novel designs are probably not, you really think out the designs that you're looking at. And there's a number of different ways to control H2S. Carbon bed changeouts, I think there was some talk about that earlier. That's definitely not a thing that we want to be involved in. We'd much rather invest in CapEx for biological treatment or oxygenation in the headspace of the digesters to try and reduce that H2S. Carbon changeouts in New Zealand cost me a lot of money, and they've happened all too regularly so far as we're figuring out, those different management side of things. And then I think, the First Renewables team would talk to some of the complexities around handling a new gas. I'm not from the energy or the waste sector, but I now know about pickling pipes, the levels of odorizing we need. So, there's definitely been some learnings along the way, but it's been a really good process, and, it's great to be able to be the first ones, with First Renewables to do this in New Zealand.
Brilliant, thank you for the questions, and I'll hand you over to Richard to take us through the next panel, Empowering Regions Through Circular Solutions.